Nvidia earnings have dropped, and I'm working on my full commentary for my new Nvidia stock price prediction and earnings projection based on the results that we got and the guidance coming up for the fourth quarter. My next video is going to be the full commentary, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel to check that out. And I'll talk about why in this video, from a technical analysis perspective, what exactly is going on with Nvidia stock. We'll also take a look at the ETFs that track the major indices, the S&P, the Nasdaq 100, Russell 2000 stocks. Also, we'll take a look at Bitcoin getting near that $100,000 mark, and then also Tesla to see what's going on there. And I'll tell you what, with Bitcoin popping off, you can see my buys and sells. If you use the link down in the description for the Patreon, click that, sign up, and head on over to the Discord that's available through that Patreon link. You'll also get my technical analysis over there before they hit YouTube. And you can also talk to me and my community members. And then later in this video, I'll tell you how you can learn to do technical analysis yourself and get access to a top-notch trading strategy known as the bread recipe. Quick, easy to set up, even easier to use. So let me switch over to the charts and we'll start talking about the indices. We'll give a brief overview of what we heard from Nvidia along with the charts that are on that. Bitcoin, I'll tell you what, man, it's getting exciting. Wait for that commentary, and then Tesla. So here we go. S&P, what in the heck did we see yesterday? Look at this buying pressure we keep getting off of 585.76. The market does not want to give up on that, and in the pre-market hours, we are trading up above yesterday's close. And take a look at the buying pressure we got off that yesterday. We pulled all the way down to, let me see what that low price was. That low price coming in at 584.63 and just ripping right back up and closing about a full percent higher than its bottom. So that's wild to see that take place. So we could be on an upward path for the market. And I think what we heard from Nvidia earnings is that things are still going strong, and it can actually turn out to be massive efficiencies for the world's largest companies, and the S&P is a great place to find that. So moving over to the Qs. The Qs taking the Nvidia drop this morning, which isn't huge. It's taken it pretty well, actually. We have some really good news coming out of tech. So the Nvidia earnings for the quarter, absolutely incredible. For the next quarter, still incredible, but slowing down. And so that's why we don't see some euphoria coming out for Nvidia, and why we see a little bit of movement for the Qs. I think if we would have seen the same growth expected, or even rampant or accelerated growth expected going into the next quarter for Nvidia, I think that really would have moved things a lot differently for the overall markets and for Nvidia itself. But still, massive buying pressure for the Qs. For the Qs, it seems to be 497 is where we keep on finding major buying pressure coming in and pushing us higher. I think that we're going to surpass that 505, and I think we can start eyeing up that 510 to 513. I'm hoping that we can push on to that 520. We're going to have to see how these resistance lines and areas are respected along that time. Will we get rejected? We're going to have to watch and see. So if we go over to the Russell 2000 stocks, we also see buying pressure coming in here. This red line slanting up across is the top of a bull channel. So when we see that happening, being up here is also a bullish thing, but it also tends to be the area where we start selling down. And you can see recently that this was no exception. The fact that we're trading up above that right now is a very good thing. We'll keep eyeing up that 236, almost 237, 238. We'll see what happens around there. If this time, if we push up that high, if we can hold it. If not, we'll probably sell down a bit further. So just something to watch out for there. All right, so into Nvidia. For Nvidia, I have my numbers that I'm putting out. I'll have a side-by-side comparison between what I expected from Nvidia for the quarter and what actually turned out for the quarter. And then I'll also have a side-by-side comparison in my next video for what I projected for Q4 and what Nvidia put out for Q4. And you'll see the similarities there. And then we can also take a look at the growth numbers at the top and bottom line. So for revenue and how that translates into their earnings per share on the bottom line. So for the net profit that they're able to produce. And we'll also take a look at some of the margins as well to see if they're growing or expanding. And then how does that impact fiscal year 2026, which by the way is calendar year 2025, generally speaking. It'll go into the end of January for their financial calendar, for their fiscal year. And that's why they don't call it 2025. They call it fiscal year 2026 because that's when their calendar year will end, is actually in the next calendar year, but just at the beginning of it. So just so that's out there, I will put out that full commentary. There's just too much to cover all in this one video. And I also want to do a little bit more of a breakdown of some of the things Jensen said during the earnings call that we absolutely want to pay attention to. We could see some softness out of Nvidia's price in the meantime, and that'll be further explained when I have that full analysis out there. So taking a look at Nvidia stock this morning, we closed yesterday at about 146 and we're down about 144 in the pre-market hours. We could see a little bit of, like I said, softness here, maybe downward pressure. They were still incredible for the quarter, and there's expecting still further growth in that next quarter. I will say that it does change their growth trajectory a little bit to hear the commentary that was out there and to see the numbers that they're putting out for Q4. And some of that is attributed to that Blackwell ramp. Like I said, a lot of that I'm going to save for my next video where I do a full breakdown of the Nvidia earnings and also put out my next Nvidia stock price prediction and earnings projection. So let me put the technicals up here so we can see what's going on. We have an area of support down here starting at 142 going down to about 141. And if we look at that on an hourly basis, you can see what happened. We respected that support area here during earnings yesterday. So pushing down below that, we actually have a fair way down to about the mid 130s to tumble down to the next major support area. If we push down that low, if not, if instead the market's like, you know what, that wasn't so bad, we still have a lot of reason to be hopeful. And I do think that we have a lot of reason to stay hopeful and stay bullish on this, even if we have some near-term downward pressure on the stock. Well, then, we'll watch and see. To the top side of this, 148 has still been a stickler for us for resistance. 150 we haven't been able to capture. And I don't know that today's that day that we see that come out, but we'll watch and see how the market digests during the first full regular trading hours after those earnings. So over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has just shown us within the past 24 hours, $98,367 per BTC. And we have this white line on here, 400,000. The big technical to cross was 95,413, and we did. Now we're looking to see for that $100,000 mark. Don't be surprised if we fall just a little bit short of that before selling off and finding out where a floor is. We actually had a pretty good push here. I think that we will cross it. And then, like I said, I think that we're going to see a little bit of some profit taking near that six-figure mark, maybe some hesitance. I think that's a huge psychological resistance. So we're going to watch for that. I still think up above that, our hard stop numbers that we have in the near term before we have some serious resistance hit, besides that psychological one, according to the Fibonacci extensions that are out there, about 106.5 up to almost 108. So you can see that on your screen right here. So excellent moves. I've made quite a bit of cash on the way up on this for BTC. And if you guys want to see how what I'm buying and selling, how I play the markets, like I said, that link down in the description for the Patreon. Head on over to the Discord. You'll see the buys and sells and the technicals. You guys can learn to do this kind of technical analysis yourself and learn how to trade it using Stockmo Academy. That link also down in the description. The course set up by educational professionals. I have 17 years in education myself and a doctorate in education. I vetted this course and it's incredible, along with the bread recipe trading strategy, which I personally use as well. And I can tell you what, as a personal testimony, it just keeps working. You guys can learn it too using the link for Stockmo Academy down in the description. Click sign up, use the code word doctor. When you do, it's going to save you a ton of cash. So getting back into the charts here, closing things up with Tesla. Tesla's still fighting the good fight. Let me zoom in on this so you can actually pick through some of the noise that's on your screen. So where are we at right now? Well, you can see the resistance lines that we keep finding buying pressure around 336, and we keep on finding resistance around 346. And we actually have, some good news with these long wicks. So this one's pretty indecisive. This one is good to see that support really come in, but you can see we get capped out around 346. The buying pressure once again coming off the 5-period moving average. And so what we're looking for is that push up. If we fail to take on that next high, or that last high that we got right around 360, which, mind you, the big Fibonacci in here is actually at the 356 mark right here. 356.46 is a very important number. And you can see that with that rejection that we got last time. We have to overtake that to have further bullishness for Tesla stock. So let me take that down so we can take a look at it and see what it looks like. And we see the bottoms coming up. We see the tops coming down. This is decision time for Tesla stock. And, decisions will be made. We'll see which way it goes. And the further we get more economic strength coming out, the more that we see positive news, governmentally speaking, as far as how regulations are going to treat Tesla with Trump taking office and the relationship that they've built. We'll see how that looks going forward, and if that really does serve as a boon to Tesla as a company and translating to the Tesla stock. And I still think that it can. We want to keep on seeing the bulls put that pressure up on the bears on this chart. So, guys, we got some pretty good looking and very bullish charts out there. Nvidia, like I said, maybe some softness based on what we heard, and I'll give that full commentary in my next video so we have a longer term plan to look at for what could be coming for them. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you can see the moment that that comes out. And if you guys want to see my technicals and my buys and sells, that link for the Patreon's down in the description. Click that, sign up, and head on over to the Discord. And don't forget about snagging that Stockmo Academy course with the bread recipe trading strategy so that you can learn to benefit in these markets too by doing your own technical analysis and also finding out when those buys and sells, like when is that time that the securities that you're looking at are really set to take off or drop like a rock. You can use the bread recipe trading strategy in either direction. It just keeps working. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. I'll see you next video.